Whoa, drop my phone.
Oh,
Where's the intro? There's the outro. Here it is.
I thought of a new guest.
I'm always thinking.
Tomfoolery.
Hey, that'd be a good guess. I bet there is a tomfoolery. Let's find a guy named Tomfoolery and bring him on.
You know there is one out there in the world.
There has to be.
Hey,
you guys.
everybody. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking your break with us. We love that. And we're having a ball on this thing. God, we were on page 6 the other day, you guys.
Bob saw numbers. I hate to be a numbers person. I'm really not a numbers person. I never looked to see who liked me or didn't like me or how many likes I got.
Well,
Bob, tell them all about
Well, we
it.
got a nice spike. And, I know you're going to hear this in the summer, but back when we had the page 6 article, that was a nice thing for the podcast. We got a real big spike in
Huge
listeners.
spike.
It was
Thousands.
awesome. Thank you, every one of you who come in and listen. We're having a blast.
It was great. So, guys, I got a gripe. I think we should have a section that way we can release our tensions before we do the show with I got a gripe.
I got a gripe.
So we
Okay.
got gripes. Okay, we'll have a gripe song.
Got a gripe.
So let me be the first to start. Okay. And I'm not pointing fingers.
What is your gripe, Paul?
Yeah.
And I want to preface it by saying I'm not pointing fingers, but spell check. People are talking now thinking that they're doing the bitchinest emails they ever sent in their lives. And they're not, because you can't read it. They sound like they're from outer space.
And you're not pointing?
Susan, have you noticed that with spell check? Do you think spell check people check their spelling?
Why would you ask me first, Paul? While you're not pointing
Because
fingers.
I'm pointing fingers, I
No,
guess.
you're not pointing them. You said you weren't.
I said I weren't, but I am.
I'm going to say one thing here, and I want our casters to know. I like to call y'all casters. First of all, I have a true problem with voice texting, and some of my messages are truly kind of historic at this point. And the problem is, Paul, here's what it is. I'm going to tell you, if you are going to voice text, you must articulate. If you do not, a phrase like, don't worry, Bob'll handle it, came out the other day, Bible handle. Okay, so Bobble became Bible, and so I'm with you. You see?
You're kidding. But you don't check it?
Oh, but you mean me particularly, or that imperial you?
Everybody.
We've all learned to check the checkers. Here's what I think. I think that the spell checkers are a group of folks who are by nature more intelligent than the rest of us. And they have decided that they know better than we what we meant to say. But that's my only explanation, because if you read it, you go, and of course you didn't say it, but they say you did. And
That's true too.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
sometimes they insist on things like when you hit the red thing and it's like, no, man, and they say yes. And you go like, no, I know it's not. And they're like, well, if you're so smart, why are you asking me?
Well, the worst experience.
Good gripe.
The worst experience is and we've all done it the first time, when you're just learning that you got to spell check the spell checkers, is when you send that first one out, that gobbledygook, nothing email, and you're getting and you didn't look, and you're getting the feedback. Hey, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you go, I didn't type that. I didn't say that.
Listen. Let's talk language, and let's talk the evolution of it in history, and let's talk about this.
Susan, the other day I thought we were all going to Fiji, okay? And I'm thinking, Fiji? What are we doing in Fiji? And so, you know what I mean?
What were you talking about, the Bee Gees?
Yeah, right?
What I always feel in my heart is that people know what I'm saying. Come on, y'all know what I'm saying. And listen,
whatever.
when I learned to read, I learned phonetically, so I feel like I've come full circle. Anyway, Paul, I love your gripe, and sorry,
Yeah,
and I'm
okay.
going to work harder on it.
No worries. Guys, we got Howard Kaylan on the show.
He's coming on. Hey, wait, don't we get a gripe?
Don't we get grapes?
It better not be about me.
Well, I'm going to go super quick, Bob. Mine's so quick because I feel yours is more important. And I'm certainly not pointing any fingers at anybody either. But I am sick to death of looking at masks all over the ground in America. Now, I'm just from New Orleans, and I haven't gone far for a year and a half. But I do think that the masks also qualify as trash, whether it be cloth, paper, and they're everywhere now. I mean, they are everywhere. And it's like, dudes, number one, it's trash. So we've all learned to throw trash in a thing. Number two, dudes, it's a COVID mask. I mean, you're trying not to have COVID.
I clean up garbage in the Safeway parking lot every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm telling you,
Yeah, masks.
I have a 55-gallon bag and it's full of masks.
Okay, you shouldn't be touching that. Nobody should be touching those masks.
I use a stick.
Do you wear a mask while you pick up the masks?
No, I don't have to wear a mask because I'm vaccinated outside and inside. I can't get it. I can't give it.
Well, first on the mask, I mean, we got to cut some people some slack. First of all, half of the folks are out there with the mask hanging from one ear. That's going to fall off. The other half are disgusted with the mask. They're going to throw it. They're going to throw it to the ground. The disgusted half throw it to the ground. And then there's the kind that like they're absent-minded, like, where's my mask? Where's my mask? And you pull it out of your pocket, falls, it's under your chin or it's on the ground. I mean, it's a nightmare out there.
I know. I'm talking trash though. Come on, man.
Here's mine. I've had this a long time and I have no idea. Look, I don't want to use if we can send a guy to the moon or if we can send folks to Mars, why can't we do this?
Use it.
But I have had it with loud motors. I don't know why motors can't be silent. I don't know why I can't be out there looking at a lawnmower and not hearing anything. I don't get it. I want the MIT folks on it because I think they could solve it during a lunch break.
Somebody's got a day job and the weekends matter now. And that's when most people use those.
Are you talking about cars?
Any motor. I think it should be noiseless motors. I don't know why we can't get that.
We can if we all buy totally electric cars.
Well, no. I mean, yes, because those cars sometimes.
Well, I have a battery-operated chainsaw. 40-volt battery charges this chainsaw. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's so cool.
And you're going to tell me it's a silent chainsaw,
But
Paul?
what about when you turn the chainsaw on?
It's not, but you don't hear the motor going pop, 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 pop.
Look, I want someone out there working on noiseless motors. Now get on it. I've had it.
Oh, it's coming.
With all due respect to gardening day and the distant mowing of a lawn is so, I don't know why that's so pleasant. I don't know.
So what do we got? We got Susan spell check voice texting issues. We have masks and we have motors. Those are our gripes this week, guys. Cowsills, I got a gripe.
I want to hear the people's gripes, the casters' gripes.
That's pretty good.
Okay, caster gripes. Come on, bring them in. We love your questions, by the way. It makes us feel.
We read all your responses that you send in the podcast threads. It's terrific. Love the interaction. But once again, we're hearing from some pledge music folks who haven't gotten the word, and that's cool. Like, I spent money. Where's my album? We get it.
Yes,
like, how long does it take someone to record a song? They last 3 minutes. What could it be? Well, that's what we got to tell them.
Yes.
So look, folks, pledge music people, you're in. We've said it 20 times. You're going to get what you ordered and what you pledged for.
100%.
The poster, the seat, whatever you ordered, it's coming. We're not going to leave you hanging in the wake of what happened to Pledge Music when they went bankrupt. No. We were rescued.
And Susan actually has to go to Seattle.
I have to go to Seattle. I'm going to go do a show, and I'm going to bring Polly.
And I'm coming with her.
Yeah. I'll send you a text on that, okay?
Yep.
We're going to Fuji to do that, Paul.
I should tell you, Susan, I purposefully did not put in for a house concert by me because I thought that would turn into a race between you and me to see who could get the most people. And I thought I'd win because it would be so rare that I would do it, that I would just be like coming to a zoo to see me. Coming to you,
I'd say that's a possible.
Is to see you,
Actually, the pledge music person, she lives in Washington. I'm sorry, I forgot your name right now. I don't have it in front of me. But, it was just for Susan. I'm kind of I'm pushing my way in there just so I can do a performance. Jeez, I need to do a performance.
I'm bringing them in.
In that, just to follow up with that with Paul, he wants everyone to know he will be your roadie if you put him in the show.
Yeah. Hey, look, before we ever were going to do this again, Paul was always, hey, man, I will be your roadie, man.
Susan, I told you that all the time. You looked like you were going to the top of the pops.
Baby. I sure was, man. I was going to be a rock star.
You are a rock star.
Wow.
Hey, I have enough from you. Hey, mister, I think I've heard enough out of you, Mr.
Hey, now, you're a rock star. Get your game on.
Oro gone.
Get your money.
Yeah.
Come on. Hey, you guys, Bob, let's have a question while we wait for Howard.
Oh, yeah.
I call him Bossy. You guys, when you hear me say, hey, Bossy, I'm not like talking bad or smack about anyone. I'm simply referring to my pal Howard because he's our bosses. I've never had a real boss. And he and Mark Volman are our bosses. Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Okay, here's a question from Mike. Why don't we ever perform songs from Global in our shows? And I'll go first. First of all, not many of you know about Global. So there's number one. It's not like it was the number one album of 1989. Okay, so the other is we had this philosophy We could either sing something we enjoy singing, and we enjoy doing all our songs. I'm not saying that, but there's something special about being able to sing a Monday, or You've Got Your Troubles. And we are aware that the audience is, we're catering to the audience in terms of, you could give them a song they've never heard of. That's a pretty good song from your album. All right. And they'll all get up and go to the restroom and go get popcorn in the lobby, or you can keep them in their seats and do a song that they remember and have memories of, and it's fun. And don't go to the bathroom or go to the lobby. That's my philosophy.
That's a reality.
Also, we want to get to the point where we could fill a show with Cowsills songs, and every one of them. And that's just my personal thing. I know people would say, you're wrong to think that. People want to hear your deep cuts and your album cuts and things that they're not familiar with. And that's true. But I don't believe in general that was where we were at, have been where we were at the time, but we're going to get there. And that's the goal.
Paulie, I see your finger up. I would love to yield to you. Go.
Well, okay. I just wanted to clarify a little something, and that is that, I mean, and the deep cuts, let's call them deep cuts, because that's what I see people call them. And we are just kind of, right now, we're in this whole headspace of looking forward, like right now when we do our show, because I know people think we do too many cover tunes, but I'll tell you, people really love cover tunes, and we see the excitement in the crowd when we're doing, a cover tune. And so that's really fun. And then what we do is we do our new album, The Rhythm of the World songs. Those are kind of, you can't call it is a deep cut because y'all don't know those songs yet. And we've been getting a response for that. Mm-hmm. So, so we are, but to play Goebel and Cocaine Drain and stuff like that, that would be a specific night, an evening that we would, produce it as a deep cuts night,
which we're not opposed to at all. And we've talked a lot about that because what we're saying, and I will agree, it's like these are different experiences, first of all, and you might not even know it as the audience while you're having it happen. But we kind of do. It's like there's a special moment about doing like our stuff, and then these covers that just bring us all to this place, man. And it's not like good. It's not like the other stuff doesn't too, but it's a different, that's like a listening night. Like some nights you want to go out and dance. You do not want to go listen to poetry. Okay. Those are two different events. So coming to the Cowsill kind of rock flower power cruise, what's up people party versus the more, hey, I'd love to hear In Need of a Friend. It's like, okay, sit down. So I just think we'll get there. They're different.
Yeah. Also, we are fortunate as a band to be able to choose and perform cover tunes that, to be candid, not other bands can do. And also, if you do You Got Your Troubles by The Fortunes, for instance, you have no idea what it's like to put that guitar on, and because we learned these songs as they were recorded, and and with Beatles songs, any of our cover tunes, to feel and understand the arrangements at that level where we're playing it, and you're up there singing You've Got Your Troubles like you are the Fortunes, and
we sound like the people in the record. You
sound like the Fortunes, and you go, I am having a Fortune experience here. So there's value to the band, folks, in addition to the audience.
And I don't think
on the cover tunes.
I don't think that they think about us as like when what you just said reminds me of when we first started singing, and it was like magic. It's like, good Lord, we opened our mouths and this thing came out, and I, for one, was very impressed. And then it made us feel all like, ooh, giddy and weird. And so, like, what's not to love about that? You know what I mean?
And people, our history. Our biggest selling album was our cover tune album.
Yeah,
we have always been a cover band.
We never had an album in the top 10 until that.
This isn't because we don't know what to do. This is because of who we are and where we came from.
Rest our case.
And who we're grateful to. If it weren't for the Beatles or these cover tunes that filter through us to come out, and now we have our sound, we don't have our sound. So we come at these things at a whole different angle.
You guys, when we get everything's back up and running, we're going to get up and running. We're going to go back to New York. We're going to go see Steve and Susan, and we're just going to have the best time and be in clubs again. And we'll have a couple of nights. We'll have party night. We'll have reflected night. Yeah? Yeah.
We'll get so big with Rhythm of the World. Night number 1, Rhythm of the World. Night number 2,
Madison
Deep
Square.
Cuts. Deep Cut night with the Cowsills. Put your requests in, and we'll do it for you. That's the plan.
And, right now we're real busy with all this new stuff going on. So when we get older, we will do the deep cut shows.
Yeah, when we get
young
older.
Right now. And, to go into deep cuts, it sounds
we
so
are
old.
go.
back to Mike and Global. We are going to learn Some Good Years, which is a great song from Global. We think it's a great song. I hate saying it's a great song. When
Is it any wonder I would put in for?
Is it any wonder?
People loved it. Yeah.
If we drop the key, 4 keys, no, we can do it. But there are choices.
You mean to play it live? I got it.
She said to me, "There's lots of songs we would love to play, and we will add them." She
said to me,
"We'll add them in the future for sure." And the only reason we don't do it now is, number one, we don't have enough time to add all these songs to our show. I mean, they tell you, here's how long you're going to play. You got to prioritize. You just have to prioritize.
It's true too.
Yeah.
So we'll get to them. It's not because we don't like them. It's not because we think they're bad songs. We're going to get on all this.
2 different kind of events, 2 different musical moments. And most of the time when the folks are heading out, unless otherwise specified, they want to feel fine and party.
That's right. They want to go back to the time.
Unless otherwise
their
specified.
junior high or their high school.
Yep.
And listen,
oh gosh, that reminded me. We're on an info commercial, and we're going to be able to say things like that. Wow, it reminds me of junior high.
Well, now wait, let's announce that. But Bob, what were you going to say?
I can't remember because I'm older and things can leave very quickly.
Okay, I just want to let everybody know out there that the 3 of us, we're seeing each other because we're Zooming, and perhaps we can get these things on YouTube because they're pretty funny visually. But we all have some kind of notepad or notebook right in front of us, but you can't see it because it's below the Zoom screen. And we all have a paper and pen. Yeah, me too. And so we're constantly writing things that we want to say, because when it's our turn to talk, we could easily forget what we were going to say. And so you got to write it down, man.
Oh my God, now you're making me panic about what I wanted to ask Howard. Because look, we have these pre-production meetings, y'all. And we're like, and we're trying super hard. And we hope some of you casters who are very familiar with us notice we're trying not to speak over one another as much as we usually do.
What are you talking about, Susan? I don't understand. Oh, you're supposed to keep talking.
Well, Susan, did you know?
But here's my fear.
You know that we're going to...
Here's my real fear, that we get so big that now we do this in an office. And my fear is somebody comes in.
Oh my God, Dick Van Dyke came to mind.
My fear is somebody comes in just before we go live and switches our notepads.
Oh, wow. That could be. That's like those cooking shows when they have them get their best dinner and they have somebody else cook it. What, Susan?
When you just said we're all in an office, all of a sudden I saw our podcast on the set of the Dick Van Dyke Office where Dick and Buddy and Sally, and we'd all be in their spots, and Paul's walking around.
Yeah, right. Right. We're going to have a podcast.
Rock comes
office.
walking in. He's Mr. What's his name? I have an active imagination, don't I? Anyway. Yeah. So hey, another question.
It's 7-Eleven, guys.
7-Eleven. I love 7-Elevens.
I'm going to tell you something.
You know what I love at 7-Eleven? I love the nachos. Have you ever gotten the nachos?
Oh my God, don't start talking about gross food and embarrass me.
Right?
My brothers think that when the McRib comes back, like life has really gotten
to me.
Good.
And I don't know how this is, but I have never walked into a 7-Eleven, and I've walked in my whole life and never not found what I was going for.
Well, no, true that, but not food at 7-Eleven, not taquitos.
Susan, have you had 7-Eleven pizza?
Bob, you lived in freaking LA for 24 years, right?
Okay.
It's great.
Pizza's good. And you get a whole pizza.
Nachos and cheese are killer.
Here's what I'm going to do. When I come back to LA next, I'm going right to 7-Eleven and have some pizza.
I'll tell you something else. The 7-Eleven cherry pie is better than Hostess. How do you like that?
Oh, my God. Oh, well.
I don't deny that. Hubig's pies are coming back to NOLA. Just saying.
We have to take a break for our first commercial.
Are we having a commercial?
Yeah, 7-Eleven.
Hey, you feeling run down? Is Tommy home? I'm sorry. Tommy has a cold.
Go to 7-Eleven for your NyQuil.
It's just like Alpo, only it costs less. Here, read the ingredients. All right, look. Hey, inmates. I'm trying to bring this to center. Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to know this is the Cowsills podcast that's going to be featuring our boss, who is on a permanent-ish vacation from Happy Together, Howard Kaylan. But here's what with Howard Kaylan. Howard Kaylan does what he needs to do and wants to do. And he's our bossy. We don't care if he comes in here at the end and we'll say, Howard, it was so great to have you. He'll go, all right, kids, I love you. Bye.
Here he is.
Howard!
We were just talking about your boss.
He's rocking.
He's rocking it.
Rocking and rolling. Now if we can hear him, that'll be great.
He looks
so great. Tell him where is Michelle?
Okay. Bossy, where is Michelle? Question mark.
Okay.
I hear you.
Oh my God. Bossy.
Howard, you're there.
I hear you.
Oh, we hear you. All right, this is a go. All right.
This is a moment, y'all. This is a moment.
I missed you, Howard.
I miss you guys too. I really am more professional than this. I've got a ring light and everything.
Oh, cool.
But how did you figure it out? How did you finally become audible, Howard?
I had to literally kind of retrace my steps and sign in again where it says sign in using audio.
Wow.
Okay, I'll sign in using audio.
Oh, wow.
I would have thought that meant just audio would appear and not video, but it didn't mean that at all.
No. Cool. You're looking good, boss. I'll tell you that much.
Man.
Well, retirement is a wonderful thing, man.
You're digging it?
That's good. And that's from a retired person you're hearing that, folks. So if you're never going to retire, get over it. And
You should see him. Hey, Howard, I want to ask you something. The front of this podcast with us in our Brady Bunch squares, all doing sign language and backward written things. By the way, this says Sunday with pre-production, but, we worked it out. What was I just going to say? Oh, my God.
Pre-production? No, you don't want pre-production. Pre-production doesn't have the live feel that anything could happen. Right? Or you have like a blue screen thing, or is that just literally wallpaper in your den or something?
No, we each got a blue-green screen. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially on our podcast with our bossy Howard Kaylan.
Let me do a formal intro. Let's get it going. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Howard Kaylan with the Turtles. This is the voice of Howard Kaylan. He is here with us at the Cowsills podcast. We are excited.
Yeah.
We've spent 5 years with this guy every summer.
Now I can't see you. What happened?
That's okay.
Folks,
ladies
we're
and
laughing
gentlemen,
because
I will explain to our casters audience, we just lost Bossy and it was epic. This is going to be the funnest. We're going to get this up on YouTube. Okay, Bossy will be back.
There'll be plenty of audio too.
Here's the thing, y'all. He's got himself on his phone, so he's moving around. He was trying to give us a little ambiance, I think he hit a wrong button.
Oh, anyway, what we're referencing is we had him. We gave you the little intro, and as soon as he was going to speak, his whole square, his voice, his image all disappeared again. So this is hilarious for us. Here's the one thing. When I met Howard for the very first time, on the Happy Together tour, it was our first year, first night out, and I'm walking out of a bus and I see this old guy coming at me. We're all old, and I'm looking at him, and I'm just going to be candid, okay? When I saw it, I said, I think that's Howard from the Turtles, to myself. And I said, geez, I hope he can sing still, and because
we gotcha.
We got him. He's sideways.
You are back, amigo.
He's back.
He is sideways.
And he's sideways,
but he's back.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Bossy, can you hear us now?
I can, yeah.
Are you sideways in your?
Audio.
Are you sideways to you too?
No, I'm front on to me, but you're sideways.
Well, I was just...
we see the circle light in your glasses.
There you are.
Yes, you should. In fact, that's a trick I learned on television in an interview, in a Zoom interview, in fact, with the sainted Jennifer Aniston.
No way.
She said that when you can see both rings in your glasses, you're perfectly framed for a Zoom interview. But she probably has like Justin Theroux fix her camera for her. Unlike me, this is just an iPhone here, and I'm a Luddite.
You people out there, you remember we keep arguing for a video podcast. And if there was ever an episode that supports having a video podcast, it's this episode.
Should I reorient this thing? I mean, should it be the other way around?
No, man. I think we need to just be just like we are, like us. And we're going to ask you silly questions, and you're going to answer them. It's going to be so much fun, and it's so good to see you.
Yeah, I shouldn't
No, it makes me
wait, here we go.
He's just moving it.
Why don't you split the difference and we're all off now?
You're like this, Howard. Now
awesome,
you're the only one off to us, and people can't see us anyway. They're just listening.
But they're because I'm getting this one on YouTube.
Sounds good, Susan.
There you are, Bossy. That's straight up.
You have to pretend like they're watching anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Hey, look I got my tie on. I don't have my vest, but we're rocking.
Yeah.
Why the hell are you dressed up for a show?
In case it goes video.
You know us.
Right.
Yeah, but this is on the cash. It's for your friends.
It's on the
man.
cat. Whoa.
Yeah, this is me casual.
Howard.
No.
I farm like this. I farm like this.
He yelled at us and left.
Yeah.
He yelled at the way we dress, and then he goes. What do you do?
I'm going to loosen up a little bit.
Casters, Paul's getting natural. Well, Bossy just had to leave us. Hey, you guys, this reminds me of an episode of Bewitched. He's popping in and out just like Aunt Agatha.
Here we go. Look it. I'll even unbutton my second
This
button.
is good. Bob, you want to do a little? Paul, you look really cool right now. You're all rugged. You look very Hemingway.
I'm laid back,
Yeah, that's a very laid back.
Because my friends are listening, so I'm casual.
I'll let Howard know we're still here.
So I'm saying to myself, God, I hope this guy can sing. And that night was going to be my first experience of Howard the singer. Okay. And he is a freaking rock.
Yeah.
He sings,
Crazy.
He sings he's the best singer on the Happy Together tour.
Hands
Bar
down.
none.
Yeah.
This guy hits
And
every
every
note.
night.
Even when he's fooling around, the voice stays straight.
Yeah. And those songs are tough to sing. I mean, a lead
And
vocal.
God, yes.
Shoot.
Happy together again.
Go work up Happy Together on your guitar and get back to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, I texted Bossy, you guys, Bossy and I texted, and I said, look, take your time. We love you.
Yeah, take
So
his
I know
time.
he'll be back. And when he comes back, though, I want to, it's going
I
to be.
do need to leave on my vacation.
And I am listen, you guys, I'm keeping Russ and Jansen from coming home too early from a good time at Cinco de Mayo, okay? Grace will start balking and they'll
Oh
be
my
doing.
gosh, it's Cinco de Mayo today.
Yeah, and Russ and Jansen are out partying. They're going to come
Awesome.
in here. They're going
Well, happy Cinco de Mayo to all the casters and everybody in
Casters,
the
it's
world.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, this is a party
Come on,
day.
Howie might be getting like the hell with this. I mean, you know how Bossy can get. Like tomfoolery is one thing, but
Well, I
if
hope he
it
comes
just,
back because I am looking casual now.
I know, I really needed it.
Paul made a big effort. But listen,
Listen, when he comes back,
but we
I
can still
wanna-
talk
what?
about him. It'll be fun to talk about him.
Here's what I want to know. I want to know.
Here we go. Ask it, Susan.
Hi, Howard.
Hi, Bossy.
You're looking good, Howard.
You can't hear us.
And your rings are right in the center of those glasses, man.
I gotta confess, I really don't understand what the hell you're doing. You keep saying it doesn't matter, they can't see us anyway. But meanwhile, I'm trying to get my ring light working, and you're in a tie.
No, I'm not. I'm in my necklace. Look at, I'm casual for all my friends.
Yeah, I had to grab a cocktail. I had to grab a Cowsills cocktail.
Nice.
He's got milk. Of course you do,
dude.
Bossy.
Yeah.
This is soda water. Don't freak.
Cheers to that milk.
Can we start asking you a bunch of questions?
Can we ask you questions?
You can try.
Oh, God. Well, no, now I don't want to because Bossy said that, but I want you to know those rings are center, man. That is happening. And we're going to be.
Jennifer, thank Jennifer.
Howard, so, and I know it was some kind of legal thing, but you guys were the Turtles. And then anytime you guys wanted to do something with somebody else, you couldn't bring the Turtle name with you. And so you came up, the Zappa thing, you guys came up with a name. And then you had all different names for all your different things you did. But what I'm wondering about, and then that goes along with, you changed your name from Kaplan to Kaylan.
When I was a real little kid, I did that like when I was 7 or 8 years old.
Whoa.
I used to take my parents' phonograph records, and if I really liked them, I would rip off the label, but enough so that the white would show underneath. The paper would still be sticking to the actual plastic record, and I would write my name as the artist on the record. So, I mean, it was embarrassing if it was like Gogi Grant or something, but if it was, like Tony Bennett, then it was me for sure, and I would write my name, but I always wrote Kaylan.
Boy, that's thinking ahead. That's a kid with dreams.
I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to do this. I didn't want to do anything else. So when my parents asked me, when you're going to college, I mean, what are you going to study in college? I have no idea, So my mother said, well, law, right? Law. You want to be a lawyer, a doctor or a lawyer. It's like I was born in Saigon or something, but it doesn't really matter. I just, they're all the same. They force you to, I want you to have what I didn't have. You know,
Absolutely.
There's a reason you didn't have it. You know, maybe it was lame.
Yeah.
You're 7 years old. Are you singing as a 7-year-old, or you just want to be a singer?
No, I'm singing along with the records.
Howard.
And then my parents are taking me down to Coney Island, right? And at Coney Island, they had these record your voice machines.
Oh my God.
Yes, indeed.
And it was like a photo booth where you sang into a microphone. You had like 2.5 minutes to sing. And then the red light went off. And then a bunch of noises sounded. And you went outside and you waited for your record to come out, just like the photographs in those, you know, cheesy carnival booths. So I sang songs. I remember
What did you sing, Howard?
I sang, like, it wasn't really a show song. I don't know from whence it comes, but it was like a novelty song that you might have learned in school. It was like called I Give Myself Very Good Advice, but I very seldom follow it. Right? That was like Alice in Wonderland or something.
They should bring those machines back.
You don't have those recordings, of course.
You know, somewhere they exist.
For real?
I don't have them here. God knows I certainly wouldn't want to hear them.
I do.
Oh, another one was, I am a fine musician. I practice every day. And if you'd like to join us, I'd love to hear me play. My tuba, I love to play my tuba. Then you go, ooba, 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 ooba,
I've
ooba.
heard that
Right,
one.
that's the tuba part. There you go. My trumpet. I love to play my trumpet. And then you have a whole little stupid band by the time you're done with the next verse.
You must have been exhausted.
I can't get the vision of little Howard Kaylan walking into that booth and doing that performance.
I can't get it out of my mind either.
But now, and so when you were in high school, though, you played clarinet,
Yeah, I saw that.
right?
I did.
So
I played clarinet. No.
So
Did
you
you
were
pick that, or was it given to you and you said, sure, I'll play it?
Clarinet. No, I picked it. It was like my third or fourth choice in the matter. I think the first instrument my parents handed me was like a cello or something, and I liked it. I thought it was really pretty to play and stuff, and I enjoyed it. But then when it came time to pack the thing up, you know, and like walk home with it, not so much.
Yeah, no. Like a Hammond. You don't want to become a Hammond B player.
Right. I was a lazy kid anyway, and I just said, listen, I've got to have a smaller case. I don't care what the hell I play.
Try that clarinet over there.
Eventually, yeah. You know, I went to the trumpet first, and I almost blew my brains out, and I decided that wasn't for me.
So horns.
Then I remember what Miles Davis looked like on, you know, when he played, and it was like, man, I can't even do that.
Yeah, nobody looks cute playing a horn. Let's just say.
Into the horns, though. You're into the horns. That's pretty good.
So here you are, you're a musical guy, and you're 7 years old. When do you get to become a musical guy who means business? Because I remember you telling us a story one time on the road, and you had said like the whole big turtle thing was accidental, and you guys were comic writers and had no intention of that. But obviously, when you were much younger, there was this thing. So, and I know you met Bossy number one, Mark Volman, early on. So from 7 to when did you become a functional, I'm going to make a band, I'm going to find a partner, that kind of thing?
Well, you know, the word functional is up to debate, I think.
I was pushing it, but
Well, I always knew what I wanted to do in the back of my mind. I never envisioned it would happen, you know, with a partner necessarily, but it fell into place in high school. It fell into place. I was in the a cappella choir, all proper with robes and stuff. And we were singing in Latin, and we were singing, you know, Messiah and little sections of this and that in Latin and stuff. And guest conductors would come in, and we'd, you know, go to the Hollywood Bowl and perform and stuff. And it was really cool. You live in LA, you're going to wind up at the Hollywood Bowl sooner or later.
Well, we're still waiting, but we'll get there.
Oh, it's a wonderful thing. It's kind of like the Carnegie Hall thing. Practice.
Yeah, we are. When we grow up, you know, we'll see how it goes.
We were at Town Hall, but we didn't make it to Carnegie.
No.
Now, was Mark in the choir with you?
He wound up, he was the guy standing next to me.
Oh my God.
I was the last of the second tenors, and he was the last of the first tenors. And we wound up standing next to each other, singing different tenor parts. But yeah, we goofed off a great deal. And we both had a grisly sense of humor. And we used to get thrown out of class constantly together, the two of us.
Wow.
Just like I pictured it.
The conductor of the choir was a sainted man by the name of Robert Wood. And he was so wonderful as a teacher and as a human. And he had such sympathy and compassion that he kind of understood what we two idiots were doing in that class. And rather than interrupt the class with punishment, he decided to let us wield our own swords, and he gave us passes nearly every day just to go out and create a problem for somebody else. Not for him. So it was great. It was really great. And plus, where we went to school, Westchester High School, was in Playa del Rey, right? So we were seconds from the ocean, and we'd go to school, and lunch period would happen, and everybody would kind of look at each other, and on a pretty day, nobody went back.
Oh my goodness.
And everybody went to the beach, and then it was like a Brian Wilson wet dream.
I was just going to say, don't tell me you guys are surfers. You and Mark Volman did not
Mark
surf.
was in a surfing club. I think they kind of used him more as a mascot, kind of like the Philly fanatic in his case.
I think you're right.
He was, I remember it well. And I remember the girls hanging out well. And that's the reason everybody went to the beach anyway. Nobody went for the waves. Everybody just went to the beach. There were girls there. There were guys that were drinking near beer. Have you ever had near beer?
It doesn't sound near enough to me, but
yeah. What would be the point?
Yeah,
exactly right. It's like O'Doul's, right? I mean,
no thanks.
They'll let you buy it in a store because they take pity on you. They almost don't want to take your money.
You pathetic drinker.
So, were you close to the airport?
Oh, so close.
He's still drained from it. He's still drained, I can tell.
You were making it sound so bitchin', Westchester and the beach and the pretty girls.
It is bitchin'. But if you've ever taken off from LAX, you know that the plane kind of circles over the damned ocean first.
Yes.
Sure does.
Before it makes up its mind where it wants to go. Well, if you circle over the ocean, you're going to wind up circling directly over Playa del Rey. So
100%.
they actually tore up a bunch of those houses. The first two houses that I lived in there in that Westchester, Playa del Rey area are gone now. One of them's the Hertz car return on 96th Street. Our house was on 96th Street.
That's sad.
How do you come out of that choir into a band?
Well, we were goof-offs, so there was a natural thing going on there. The band was kind of a separate entity in that I had been playing a clarinet and then saxophone with my teacher, my music teacher, at the music center, such as it was there in Westchester, California. And unbeknownst to me, so was the guy over here. So was Mark Volman. He was taking lessons from the very same guy I was taking lessons from. And so we had that in common. And at some point way early on in my first high school semester, I had gotten a phone call from a guy who I had never met, who turned out to be Chuck Ports, who was the bass player of a band called the Night Riders. And he was calling me because he heard I was a sax player and there weren't any other sax players around. And did I want to join a rock and roll band? I thought, hell yeah, let's do that. So I brought my sax my borrowed sax from Mr. Ferguson, the music teacher. And I went to the rehearsal, and these guys were rudimentary guitar players, but I was a rudimentary sax player. So we complimented each other, and I was honking away, and they were strumming surf stuff and kicking their amplifiers and, making safari laugh noises and stuff. And I just figured, what a gooey thing to do, but on a stage and stuff, rock and roll, sax player. Let's try this, I mean,
right on.
because I was a little potato of a guy in high school. I needed all the help I could get.
What do you mean a little potato of a guy? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I wasn't particularly into, the athletics, and I was just sort of like.
Were you an intellect?
Not an intellect, but I got great grades. I wasn't an intellect, because an intellect would have known how to study, and I didn't. I crammed at the last minute, and I crossed my fingers a lot, and I bullshitted my way through high school, basically.
Yeah,
and then I got all these scholarship award things from Bank of America. And so my parents figured, okay, it's not a total loss.
Howard, were your parents musical?
My dad was a little bit. My mom, not at all.
So what's any ancestral creatures with your gift?
I had an uncle who was vaguely musical. My brother was quite a bit more musical than I.
Interesting. It's in your lineage somewhere.
Or his parents just wanted him to be rounded and put some instruments towards you.
Yeah, maybe.
They sure did.
Okay.
They really impressed that part of me.
That used to happen with kids with real parents. I've read stories.
Yeah.
I mean, we got our instruments in our hands a different way.
Okay, so now you're on saxophone. You're just this whatever. You've got low self-esteem. You're on a saxophone with a band with marginal guitarists. Now, after that, you're going to, I never knew about horns with you, saxophones and clarinets. Eventually, they're going to disappear. But what's your next step? Where do you go?
Well, honking away on the saxophone, Mark Volman came out of the blue and asked me about a week later, hey, listen, I hear you're in a band. Yeah. Can I join your band? I said, gee, I don't know. What is it that you do? And he said, nothing.
I have this hair. Did he have his hair already? That, craziness.
Well, that was the start. He was very much, he looked exactly like his mother.
God.
And to this day, and you've seen him, he gets off stage when he ties his hair back. That is Beatrice Volman.
All right.
You could compare them side by side in a 23andMe ad. It would be perfect. They reek of the same spaghetti sauce. They're just.
So did you tell them to take off, or did you take them on?
I had no authority to do anything, so I waited until lunchtime, and I went to Al Nickel, the lead guitar player, and I said, "Hey, listen, Al, there's this guy that I stand next to in choir, and he wants to join the band." And Al said, great, what's he do? And I said, absolutely nothing. And Al said, sounds great.
He liked
Tell him to come to rehearsal tomorrow. So he did. He came to rehearsal, and he couldn't really do anything.
Come on, he couldn't sing or anything?
Well, he didn't know the songs that we knew, so it was moot, really. He knew choir stuff.
Yeah,
he could sing that.
And he was in choir for crying.
Yeah. He was playing tambourine, though, and he was jumping around like an ape. He was?
I see that.
And we figured, holy crap, man, none of us have the balls to do that. Let's get this guy in the band, and he can be our trained ape. And he kind of was. Yeah. Because what he was doing, especially the first year or so, was schlepping equipment. He schlepped equipment, and he set up drums poorly. And he did things like fall down the stairs a lot with the equipment.
Because he's Volman, right? So Volman from the beginning, Volman to the end.
He's Volman now. He's the same guy.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, did you trust him to set up your amps? No.
Yeah, he was describing He was describing the Mark I know of today, if the steps and everything.
That's what I'm saying. He's like the same person.
Yeah, yeah.
He would take 25 minutes to fumble around before someone would go, "Do you need a light down there?" "Oh yeah, okay, sure."
Oh, right.
And then he would plug the thing in, and it would be great.
Now, from this band on, is this the point where the two of you shall never part?
Pretty much, yes.
Wow.
Because that lineup with the two of us, by the way, he didn't do quite nothing for very much longer. When his father took us aside and said, "Hey, excuse me, we've got a small problem." "What is it, Joe Volman?" "Well, I mean, I see you guys, you're playing on the stage and you're having a great time and then you're getting paid and stuff. And it doesn't seem like Mark's getting the same amount of money." And we said, "Well, he isn't, Joe." "Why isn't that happening?" "Well, because he doesn't do anything, Joe." And Joe said, "Well, what if he did something?" "Okay, Joe, if you get him to do something, then we'll pay him."
Do something. How many things are there to do in a band, you know?
Well, there was only one thing to do in that band. And since I was the tenor sax player, I suggested to my choir buddy, Mark, that he buy an alto sax. And then we could have an actual sax session and we could do steps.
Time out. Are you an instrumental band? Because so far you haven't even mentioned the word singing.
We are an instrumental band.
Oh my God.
Surf band.
Okay.
We're playing the songs of the Lively Ones and Johnny and the Hurricanes and Dick Dale and the Deltones.
Adventures.
Very nice.
You're doing Walk Don't Run, huh? Yeah, Sleepwalks.
Only when we have to.
They didn't like the Ventures.
Well, I love the Ventures, but not that tried and true old dog of a song. So when people would ask for Walk Don't Run, we would do Lullaby of the Leaves. And they would be really impressed because, they never heard that Venture song before.
Any Dwayne Eddy?
Yeah, some Dwayne Eddy, 40 Miles of Bad Road stuff.
So
classics.
Howard, how old are you guys right now? Are we 16, 15, 17?
We are 15-ish. I'm just getting my driver's license right about now.
Okay.
And at this point in the history of the world, the best thing ever to hit music happened, and that is the British invasion.
Correct.
So when the Brits hit, and Mark and I realized, hey, we're singers, we put down the damn saxophones and we learned Beatles songs and Stone songs and Dave Clark 5 songs, and Zombies and Hollies.
Yeah, we were doing that up in Rhode Island.
Things and everything we could.
Yeah.
Everything British that we could. Wow. And I had started going to school at UCLA because that was the plan. So one day while we were down there and I was on the air, Mark came down to visit, and I didn't know what to say about him. He was in the booth with me and he shouldn't have been. So I thought fast and I started introducing him as my cousin from Ireland, Van Morrison. So I could interview him and we wouldn't get thrown out of the studio and stuff. And so he didn't know how to do an Irish accent. Still, he couldn't do it to save his life. But the problem was he really didn't know very much about Van Morrison. So when I asked him questions about TB Sheets or, a classic Them song, for instance, he would just space out and he would give an answer that had nothing to do with anything.
And that's where that was born.
It was wonderful. It was like interviewing Norm Crosby.
That's genius.
Yeah, I like it.
It's accidental. I don't know if that stuff is genius or if it just falls into place and you just go, look at that. The timing was great. It didn't matter what he said. It was the way that he said it.
Yeah,
it was the timing. It was the comedy pyramid. It was setting them up and knocking them down.
My God.
So the Turtles are going to emerge from UCLA, just like the Blues.
Well, yeah, now we're starting to sing. So we're singing Beatles stuff. And in the midst of this comes an invitation to go see a new Columbia artist appearing at Ciro's. Check them out for your approval. Welcome to the Sunset Strip. Come down and see the Birds.
Oh,
So we went down to see the Birds, and they were unbelievably great.
Wow.
And they did, of course, their classics and Tambourine Man. And we had been a little folk thing in high school, the Crosswind Singers. We had a girl with us and everything.
Nice.
And I had written these folk songs. And now, I guess they're going to be folk rock songs. So Al Nickel, the guitar player, went out the very next day, and he couldn't afford a Rickenbacker 12-string, needless to say. He probably still couldn't. And so he picked up a Dan Electro.
Of course.
12-string, and we used it until the very end. And it's a wonderful sounding instrument. It doesn't sound like anything else. It's really terrific. And so I applaud Coral and Dan Electro for their fine work with instruments. Nice. But we knew we had a backlog of all these folk songs and stuff. And not being a dummy, particularly at that time of my life, I went through my folk albums to see if I had any knowledge of a Bob Dylan song that we might be able to record. This guy evidently had written a whole bunch of things. So when I found It Ain't Me, Babe, I had no idea it had been recorded by anybody else before, but I did know that the way it was broken down in my mind, it could easily fit into my frame of reference was a Zombies song. Yeah.
Okay.
In that it had a very minor verse and then a rather triumphant 4/4 open chorus, and it felt semi-jubilant, except that this song, It Ain't Me, Babe, to me didn't sound jubilant. It sounded, to me, it was mean. I didn't get Dylan's original concept for the song. I still don't buy it exactly, because I think the song is mean, and I like it that way.
It's pretty
harsh as hell. Yeah. So that's the way I sang the chorus, is harsh as hell. And that very pattern of soft, loud is something that the Turtles kept doing until the very last, including Happy Together.
So at the time you're finding this song, It Ain't Me, Babe, are you guys set up to record? Do you have a band name? Do you know where a studio is? Are you going to get it? You have the label in sight? Anything going on?
No, nothing at all, except as the Crossfires, we had recorded a couple of instrumental songs in Hollywood studios and actually gotten on television. And one of the songs actually charted locally in like San Bernardino.
What year is this, Howard?
Had to be fun.
This is in 1964, the end of 1964.
Dude.
Yeah. And at that point in time, all of these disc jockeys in Los Angeles had television shows. So the minute we walked out of the studio way back as the Night Riders, the first thing that we recorded as the Night Riders, just a bunch of chords strung together, it was enough to get us on television onto this local show, the Bob Eubanks Dance Party.
Oh, the Bob Eubanks Dance Party?
Exactly, just so. And because we did the Eubanks show, we were able to do the Wink Martindale Dance Party. Wink Martindale did his dance party from Pacific Ocean Park, which was set up on a pier.
Yep.
Right, POP, and has since burned to the ground. Too bad. It was a wonderful,
holy cow,
kind of sick place.
I loved
tacky
it.
floors and stuff, but it was wonderful. It was our Disneyland.
Keep going. So there you are now. And you're on these.
So there we are. We're starting to sing, and we're playing. We're now the weekly sensation in Redondo Beach, California, at a teen club.
Are you called the Turtles?
Bel-Air.
Are you called the Turtles?
No, we're the Crossfires.
Okay,
Still
Crossfires.
Still the Crossfires until two guys come in and say, "Hey, you guys, we noticed that you're doing folk rock. That's great. We're putting together a record company. You think you'd like to make a record?" And everybody was suspicious. And, what do we got to lose? What do we got to lose? I figure. And the band guys are going, one of them, Al has already got a wife and a kid, and he doesn't want to mess around with the band anymore. He wants to like work in a liquor store or something, just something solid.
Yeah.
So we're confronting adulthood now, as we're
at
16.
19-ish? How old are you now?
We're still 16 and a half.
They're confronting adulthood. Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, that's about right. And so the two clowns, and they're in suits, and they look like they know Ray Liotta.
Okay.
Let's just leave it there, and yeah, it was pretty heavy. And they said, we're putting a label together. You guys want to make a record? Yeah, we'll make a record. What kind of stuff you got? So I said, well, I got all these tunes, that we could use for B-sides. And I thumped you some Dylan stuff. That's what we want to hear. And so just the knowledge that we were going to cut Dylan stuff and nothing else, they booked studio time. And it could have been disastrous, but they happened to book studio time. I don't know how they were this insightful at Western Studio 3. Engineered by Bones Howe.
Oh, is that what you walked into? Because I got to say, Howard, your depiction of this is you're all not very excited about this. It's to me, everyone would be like,
we weren't excited. We were cynical bastards because we knew better, and we had seen a bunch of our LA friends go that route and get their suits at Cy DeVore and have Jay Sebring do their hair. Okay. And then they all sounded the same, and they were all doing like Kingston Trio covers. And it was a brick wall.
Same old.
Fair enough. That I understand. Okay.
Now you're coming into this with Bones with It Ain't Me, Babe, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It Ain't Me, Babe.
Turtles?
I had written a couple of rockers and one other thing that was sort of another folk-y thing. They didn't care what was on the B-side.
No.
Well, that was the point. They didn't really know what to call us. And then the guy that we were working for at the teen club in Redondo Beach had a cousin. This is like, meat falling off the back of a truck or something. Had a cousin that just seemed wonderfully, I don't know, it was like kismet that this cousin happened to be a disc jockey on a local LA radio station, a big radio station, KRLA. So this was before FM. So KRLA was like the big rocker AM station, 1110.
Before Brother John.
Before way. This is 65-ish, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So here we are. And of course, this guy, this disc jockey, Reb Foster, is riding that record like it had a Vicuna saddle. So it's getting all sorts of airplay in Los Angeles, and they're like at the top of the hour, they're playing and stuff. And we're still the Crossfires as far as anybody is concerned, because we've got a gig Friday night at the Revel Air Club in Redondo Beach. And we get there, and there's a large crowd waiting, and there's a big banner strung up behind the stage that says, "Farewell, the Crossfires."
Okay.
Which
that you
kind
didn't
of
put
sad.
there. All right.
Oh, I didn't put it up. It was put up, I guess, by the club management, who knew exactly what was going on. So they didn't answer any of the people who asked questions about it. And there was like a little brigade of girls, of fan girls. It was unbelievable for high school guys. This little cadre of chicks that was really into us. It was asking, what do you mean farewell the cross? Where are they going? Where are they going? Oh, we can't say. It's a secret. So we did our happy set, and we said goodbye to everybody, and we packed up and we left. And next Friday night, we were back there again with the exact same show, except we had matching green shirts on. And now the banner behind us said, "Welcome, the Turtles." because Reb Foster had figured out that's the name for you guys.
Wow.
It's TLES. It's TLES like the Beatles. You guys are on a little record company, and the Beatles themselves have been releasing things on Swan, on all these weird little labels before Capitol locked in. So, and VJ and all this stuff. So they assume that, the people will assume that you're a British group, and that's our edge. You are British. Just don't say anything to anybody. And as far as they know, you're British.
But they didn't tell you that beforehand? They didn't. Did they share this with you before you walked in and saw you were the Turtles?
They didn't share that, guess what? You're going to be part of a con. But they did say, we've got to think of a great name. And
unbelievable.
They came up with this.
At the time you're with Bone Sound, you're in the studio, you make that great record. You don't have a label yet, right?
We have these two guys.
And
these two guys are going to start the
new label, right?
They don't have a name for the label yet.
Wow.
So when they mentioned that they're going to call the thing White Whale Records and that their publishing company is Ishmael Music, it was kind of like, oh, geez, really? Because that's all the nation needs now is like literary puns. It was kind of stupid. But there were a lot of labels like Red Bird and Blue Cat and stuff. Like White Whale fit right in. These guys figured into every equation how to be under the radar. And they taught me something actually pretty cool about life itself and the struggle for supremacy, especially in the music business. And that is, you don't want to be number one. Nobody wants to shoot for number one. If you're number one, you've got a target on your back and you're just going to spend half of your life defending your position, but shoot for something safer. Shoot for like number 6. Nobody cares about number 6. Nobody wants to shoot down number 6. But number 6 gets a nice check too.
Right. All right. We want all you folks to ponder that one and get back to us next week.
I mean, in the reality of music from the soul, music from the heart, you've got to take that into consideration too, because the minute you sell your first record, you're committed to sort of this life of prostitution. And that's a sick way to look at what you're doing. But any independent contractor who does something for money is essentially doing that.
You're going to have a long history of that, though, coming in.
The cynical young man from
full prostitution. Is that what we call it?
I never said I was Pollyanna about anything.
Oh, excuse me, you're talking to Zuzu here, and
I know, but that's why I figured I had to kind of edge out of the touring world a little bit, kind of back my way out of it, because I was just becoming a little too cynical for my own good out there.
Okay, I'll go with that, Bossy. I'm glad
and
you
it
did
was great
then.
for the bus stories, but in reality, that's not the attitude to have, and after a while, especially if you start, I didn't want to get to the point that I was too cynical to appreciate my audiences.
Sure.
Or, take them for granted or slough it off or
you still wanted to care on your way out.
Yeah. And when I felt like it was hard to do it.
Yeah.
And it didn't come easily as it had, the 54 years that preceded it, then I knew it was time. I really, really admire Lindsay. I think that's a wonderful thing that he's doing. I admire him, but I'm glad I'm not doing it. I'm positive I couldn't do it psychologically.
Just not
to continue. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do what he's doing to continue that way. And this was a matter of a heart thing. It started out with my back and my leg and all that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I would have limped out every night. It had nothing to do with my longevity on the road. That really was how I was feeling there toward the end. I just started feeling a little gray after the shows. You start feeling a little gray. That's like, you start to feel like an alien or something. Your skin gets a little creepy. And I remember seeing our drummer, Joe Stefko, turn that color when he had a heart attack on stage.
Wow.
In Bemidji.
Okay.
Wow.
If you're going to have a heart attack on stage, don't do it in Bemidji.
Okay.
Well, it's
Got
funny
that, guys.
because
No
I had a
Dimitri.
different fear. I don't want to have a heart attack on stage, but I was a pub singer for so long and had to sing American Pie, which is an 8-minute song every night. I always was afraid I'd have a heart attack during American Pie and drop dead, which would have really disappointed me.
At what point in the song would that have been? Did you have
Verse number 8.
which is what?
Which is what, Bob?
Did you write the book of? No, I don't know. Listen, I refused to learn that song for years just because it was like homework. You write it out and you go, that analysis restaurant, this is too long to bother with, you know.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Hey, but you mentioned the Happy Together tour. Susan, you left corner there, lower corner.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
You mentioned the Happy Together tour. We've always wanted to know, Howard, and be candid, okay? We can take it. We're always judged and we have to prove ourselves.
Be candid.
The number of years we spent trying to get on that tour is more than the number of years you guys spent denying it. So we want to know because the first few years before we finally hit it, there were a couple of years where we were really close, and we even had it one year and it got taken away. Now you might not be in the upper mechanisms
What do you
of how
mean
this
it got taken away?
It did, Howard. It did, and it was sad.
Here's what we were told. The year before, we were told that you guys want us, but that it was a hard sell to the promoters, okay, and the venues, which we always understand.
Yeah,
That's what we heard.
I don't believe that for a minute. I know that we could have at the point where you guys entered the picture, we could have said we want, Antilex chimps on the show. And they would have said, that's cool. It doesn't really matter, because at that point, I mean, we were having like the box tops on the tour, and, no offense, but I mean, at that point, truly, you people were the breath of fresh air that should have been there for 5 years previous.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, then we could have hung out more.
We couldn't believe that. We couldn't believe what you guys had going out there. We came on, we entered the whole camp as strangers, and we come in, and the first thing you want to do is behave. And the second thing, you don't want to piss anyone off. And the third is you want to perform and sing on key every single night. These are my issues, and these are what we need to accomplish. So we don't screw this up.
Yeah, the behave part. Yeah, we felt like we had to behave, and I felt like it till I met you. But I have a question.
Perfect answer.
We did, thank you. We did hear, though, that it was trouble getting on there, and then we lost it that one time. You don't have that as a recall, huh? You always wanted when you wanted it, you asked, and we appeared in your.
Well, I remember there was a year or so when we wanted it, and Ron, and the management of the tour itself didn't know who we were talking about.
Right.
So we had to play YouTube videos, and we had to play your hits. And, I don't think he even would have been impressed to see a YouTube video with an audience reaction at that point. It's just like he didn't remember. And if he didn't remember who you were, then
Yep.
We know the person involved, but boy, we showed him who we were, though, and he certainly responded.
We did. He certainly shut up, and that's great.
Well, that's a great story.
Okay, great. Well, Howard, I always like to hear about, and I know it sounds silly, but when we were on Ed Sullivan, it was a huge deal. And now coming in to ask you this question, knowing that you were actively working on being cynical and cranky, and probably none too impressed.
That doesn't work.
He was trying to work at not being that.
That's right.
Right.
I know. That's so true. But so you guys, so things are starting to crank for the Turtles, and I don't care how cynical you are. You were young enough to be slightly excited, and I'll say you're fibbing if you say you weren't. So when you got the Ed Sullivan call, where you saw the Beatles, where I know you were impressed, was that a moment? Was that a pretty big moment?
Oh, certainly. It followed a few other big moments. I mean, the Sullivan moment only happened after Happy Together hit number one.
Okay.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
that makes-
that's pretty much how it goes, right?
It makes sense. Ed was very conservative in that regard, unless you were a British band. If you were a British band, he didn't care. But if you were an American band, then he had to sort of approve you.
Really? I didn't know that. See there?
Well, I mean, that's why he had to change the lyrics on the Doors songs and the Stones songs and stuff to fit the CBS censors.
Okay.
Let's spend some time together. Yeah. So what were you referencing before Ed Sullivan as big moments?
Well, I think that Happy Together hitting number one was a huge moment.
Well,
Where
that's
were you?
Huge moment.
Hugest.
So,
Hugest, yeah.
so me then this will all. So you guys, you did backgrounds on over like 100 albums, and it wasn't just this or that. It was Lennon, it was Springsteen, it was the Ramones, Blondie, Duran Duran, Bang a Gone with T-Rex, Alice Cooper. So did you guys have an agent?
We used to write our number on restroom walls. Are you kidding?
No, for real though.
We did not have an agent. All of those calls came from the artists themselves or their producers.
Really?
But that you'd have to be known for it.
Yeah. Did the word get out on you guys?
The first background session that we did at all was in London, and it was for T-Rex.
That was the first one?
The first one. It was for a T-Rex song called Seagull Woman. And I did it alone because Mark was not around that day. So I had to double track myself for the high oohs and stuff. Sure. And it was the first time, and Tyrannosaurus Rex was just morphing into T-Rex.
Oh, wow.
And Mark Bolan had just put down the acoustic guitar and started playing electric. And that was a moment. That was a real historic place to be. Right place at the right time. Because after that, we sang on a whole bunch of T-Rex records.
Yeah.
Well, I found out.
So they thought they were getting serious background people, and you guys were like clowning around all the time.
They knew what they were getting. They knew exactly what they were getting. Absolutely. And we hung out with Mark Bolan when we weren't in the studio. So that's how they knew what they were getting. And the producer of these sessions was from New Jersey. I mean, Tony Visconti. So, I mean, we instantly had a link with Tony, and it was fun. And it was just, there were so many drugs.
Okay, I want to talk about that. Yes, because listen, Bossy played me one summer after you had left. He had, or were you there when I discovered you guys were the Bang-a-Gongers? Because I didn't know that. I don't think
I was there for that.
You weren't. So Bossy was listening to something and laughing and chuckling by himself, just sitting there like he does. And I'm like, what's so funny, Volman? And he's like, oh, we're really cutting up here. And he had just the track with your Bang-a-Gong, get it on. Just the track. And then y'all cutting up through the whole thing. And y'all were not, we were not
in the right minds.
There was some product in that building, sir.
Yeah, there certainly was.
But I had no idea you guys had done this. Like my brothers, like when we were pre-production, talking about stuff, I had no idea you guys were these guys. So when I heard it, and I was pretty impressed. I cried because that's what I do.
Specifically, could you take us how it is? You went from Frank Zappa and Mark Bolan to David Cassidy. David called you and said, I want you to sing with us.
On TV?
Yeah.
So you went with whoever called.
Jeez, man, you make me feel cheap.
No.
You're the one that brought up the word prostitute. I didn't bring up the word prostitute.
Yeah.
Well, we have our pride, sir.
We've never said that word on our podcast yet.
With
Howard.
David, you did live performance and recording with David Cassidy?
We did live performance. The recording, if we did any recording, I don't remember it.
Okay.
I know we brought David with us to Canada. Well, we did a weekly TV show on the CBC.
Okay.
It was called 90 Minutes Live, and we had our own little segment every week. And we would fly celebrity singing stars up with us and interview them as part of the show and then sing live with them.
Is that how you met David?
that's not how we met David, but that is one occasion when we sang with him. We met David, actually, he was in our bowling league. It was the Hollywood Vampires. It was a bowling league at first. It was Alice Cooper and a bunch of people.
Wow.
And Cassidy was one of them. He was a bowler.
Wow.
So at the time, he was a bowler. He was a married man. He was married to Kay Lenz.
Yeah, he was.
And he was very domesticated. You know? So I don't know the wild and crazy guy who was rumored to be
wild
the
and crazy.
Cassidy.
Yes.
He sure was cute.
So are you ever going to do another show?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I've given it a lot of thought. I don't have the blood in me that I thought I did. I thought I would,
Gotcha.
Specifically, Mark and I thought that we would be the Sunshine Boys.
Yeah.
And that would be great, but there aren't any dinner theaters anymore, and the spinning stages are too few, and nobody wants to see a summer stock company version of The Odd Couple anyway. So
I do.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of a good thing. I'm glad I didn't wait for that.
So I just want to let you know, Howard, that you are on our record. We've finished Rhythm of the World, the album, and the first song on the album is called "You Gotta Get Up," and that was inspired by you. And so you're on there as a writer with us, and your voice is on there too. So would you, if we were to do that, live, and you were close to where we were playing, would you come up and sing "You Gotta Get Up" with us?
No, I'm not going to walk up on that stage. Because you know why? Let me tell you why, Paul. Because I'll walk up on the stage and I'll go, "Ladies and gentlemen," and the spotlight will hit, and I'll fall right over.
We would love that.
No, he's saying
No. You've done that before, man.
Hey,
I can't
real quick,
impose.
let me just fill the folks in on what Paul just referenced. When Rhythm of the World comes out, the first song's "You Gotta Get Up." We stood every night, every summer, and Howard would say that to the audience just before Happy Together. But you gotta get up. Get up. And we looked at each other and said, there's a song there. And there was a song there. And we sampled Howard saying that in the show, and it's in the recording is what we're talking about
it's
there.
awesome.
So we actually got to have him as backgrounds on our album, like Lennon and Springsteen.
Well, that's wonderful. Backgrounds I can do in, my house. That's easy.
That's true.
All right. We'll get one of those poster things and we'll roll it out.
But we'll make him feel good because, as we know, the Turtles and their lawsuits were so beneficial to the rest of us in the industry. We've decided not to pay Howard for that background part. He'll sue us, and then we'll make a lot of good stuff for everybody else from that lawsuit also, because we're joking. But if the Turtles had not taken on the litigious part of all of this with these companies and lawyers and everything, and created the massive lawsuit that they did so that singers and artists could get the money they deserved, they did everybody a great service. And they're not known for that, but they should be.
Yeah, they should be.
We thank you, Howard. We thank you.
You guys. Listen, everybody should get paid for what they do. That's all we ever wanted. And it wasn't, we weren't magnanimous about it particularly. It just happened that way. If we were gonna get some, that meant everybody was gonna get some. And it was either deal. As far as the record companies and publishers were concerned, how do you say it in French? It was shit to get off the pot as far as that stuff was concerned. They waited for decades to make a decision on this, the pre-1972 recordings.
Yes.
And Congress had just come down in the year 1972 and said, absolutely right. Everyone should get paid starting now. And so everything after 1972 was compensated, but everybody who made a record, including the Beatles and the Supremes, never got paid for it because it was pre-1972.
Yep. It was a brilliant lawsuit. Just fantastic. It was so unfair. So let's move into recording because I have a specific question and we can use Eleanor as the best example. We want to know how you guys what your method was. Did you go in basic track and then lead vocal? How did you create such a large background sound, especially on Eleanor, and the range of the backgrounds, a big giant vocal sound? How did you record that?
Just the same as anyone else would. It was always basic track. I was in the vocal booth singing live. And sometimes we would use that, but in the case of Eleanor, we didn't. I sang it a couple of times, I think, unlike Happy Together, which was a single take.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Oh, wow.
Hey, people, a single take is such an anomaly these days because they compile lead vocal tracks. They'll say, oh, that verse over here sounds good. In that take, chorus number 2 sounds good. And they pull chorus number 2 out of that take and put it. It's crazy. That's amazing. Who did the vocal arranging? Was that you and Mark? Pretty much?
The vocal arranging was actually Chip Douglas.
Chip Douglas did it?
We talked about Chip.
Wow. Yeah, we know of Chip. And so you just go in, would the two of you do the big backgrounds? Or are there 5 of you out there? How many turtles?
Well, we would, the two of us, once in a while, Al would come in and sing a lower part. When Jim Pons was in the band, he was a great bass singer. So he came in and did a lot of those, like in the Battle of the Bands, wonderful, like doo-wop kind of voice. But basically, what Mark and I would do while the tracks were getting laid down and overdubs were happening, Mark and I would find an echo booth that was not being used, and we would sit in it and have them turn the microphones off so we weren't in the feed, and we would just listen to the tracks and sing along with them, and then try to come up with as many harmonies as we could that fit.
Wow.
Awesome.
Did you record it as group harmonies or one harmony and double and triple it, and then the next harmony double, triple? How did you do it?
We did it all different ways, but I think the way that Mark and I found was most effective for us later on was to go in and do one track at a time, both of us.
Okay.
So both of us would do a low part, and then both of us would come in and do the high part, so that we had a chance to regulate the volume differences, the balance between them after the fact. Because otherwise, once you're locked into 2 people on a microphone, that's the way it's going to sound forever.
Mm-hmm. We know.
And then we just kept doubling. And Chip Douglas called it the Incredivoices, because we just kept doubling and doubling and doubling.
We love that. We love that.
Yeah.
Like the Breck girls, and you tell 2 friends, and you tell.
That's right.
It was 1969, and we had hair out, but they had Eleanor. And I'm riding around, Paul in Santa Monica, in the Eleanor comes out, and I go, "How did they get those vocals?"
Eleanor
and back in that
amazing.
day. This, you're not going to call up Howard Kaylan. Hey, how'd you get that vocal sound, man? But
You could have very easily. I would have answered the phone.
who's calling? Bob Cowsills, the Cowsills.
We would have been on Happy Together a lot sooner.
Yeah, Bob. I want to ask you though, Howard, back in the day when we were being the Cowsills and we were those little kids, what did you think of us? For real?
I loved you guys, but I had kind of inside track on you guys because I was friendly with Steve Duboff and Artie Kornfeld.
Oh, for crying out loud. You're kidding.
No. In fact, Steve Duboff was the best man at my 4th wedding.
Oh, wow.
I'll be dosh darned.
Was that your last wedding?
Party. Oh, God. He lived right on the beach in Malibu. It was right out of 2.5 Men.
Wow.
Stop. You can't. Hey, listen, I have a very off-topic kind of question. Paul, do you have one? Do I see you waving?
No.
Because this is something that is personal for me, and you will understand it. But I need to know about you being on General Hospital, because that's my favorite.
Yeah, what was that about?
He played... okay, tell us, Howard.
I was an Orthodox Greek monk.
Well, I could see that.
Sure. And I married
Laura.
I officiated over the wedding of TV's Laura, and wait for it. It was a dream sequence. And Stavros.
The evil Stavros.
I don't know much about the evil Stavros.
I do.
but I do know that I was there in the dream sequence when Stavros gave Laura the ring.
Yes, you were. I'm so excited. I was like, General Hospital. That's like all my children, General Hospital. That's my jam. I was very proud. Very
All right, guys.
proud.
Well, thank you. It's a fine moment. And it's great to have a SAG card. You never know when you're going to need it.
Absolutely. Howard, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thanks so much for being here.
Gracing our
We love you, dude. We love
Anytime,
you.
man. It felt like the back of the bus for a
No, I
minute.
love
Sure
it.
did.
We're going to make Eleanor the song of the week
Yeah.
because we talked about how they recorded
Wonderful.
Look at he's
we'll do
drinking
that.
his milk. And listen,
And we could do
Bossy.
You Got to Get Up, too, Bob.
Listen.
Oh,
We
yeah,
made
that's
Eleanor. We
right.
did 40
Maybe it
seconds.
should-
Send me a
We
file.
could
I'd
play
love to
all of
hear
You
it.
Got to Get
Oh
Up.
yeah, it sounds amazing.
Oh,
But
it's done now.
Howard,
You
listen
can
to
hear
one
it.
thing. I'm not sad about you not being. I'm happy that you're happy. It's just that we only had you for 2 years, and so, for us, we missed out on our Howard part of our happy together. But I'm okay about it because me and
You've
you
had
had
me
like
longer
16-year-old
than
girls.
3 wives.
I know. I have. We text like 16-year-old girls. Me and Bossy. I mean, we're up all hours of the night.
This is wonderful. I'm glad you have a podcast. Everybody should feel as at home with you as we do, because you're wonderful people, and it's great to see you again. Really.
Same here.
Thank you, Howard. We love you, buddy.
Wait, can we still come up and make our record and go Palm Springs?
I'm waiting. The tram's running.
I'll text you.
Tram's running.
We're going to become the turtles of the background singer set, singing with the turtle. It's going to be
That's right.
great.
That's what we're gonna do. That's right.
And we'll keep everyone posted.
Yeah.
I welcome that. You're the only ones I would allow to let into that level.
You know what?
Howard.
We want to quintuple track
All
us.
right, man.
Okay,
Peace out, brothers. I'll talk to you, Bossy.
go find
Thank
the turtles.
you.
You're going to love them.
Love.
Podcasters.
Bye, guys.
podcast.
Bye, Cowsills.